All right, guy. Thank you for joining me today, or this morning, or this afternoon, whatever time it is. It's noon, but whatever. Anyway, guys. So this afternoon's, sorry, um, midweek report. We got a lot to cover, and so obviously, guys, if you dig enough, you'll find some interesting articles out there. You'll see things that they are not reporting as well, or is not in the forefront. So one of the articles that I want to start with is something interesting that's not being spoken about, right? So let's see, not if I can find it, but this article is pretty lengthy, actually. So the House panel set to review Biden's family suspicious bank report. Now, a lot of you might have heard of this, might not have heard of this. Not sure, but interestingly enough, guys, the House Oversight Committee staff on Wednesday will finally examine suspicious activity reports sent by the bank to the Treasury Department alerting of potential criminal activities involving President Biden's family. The Treasury Department alleged stonewalled Comer's demands for access before relenting Monday and agreeing to allow the review. Now, the bank in question, coincidentally, is Silicon Valley Bank. This happened about a year ago, or rather, uh, Commerce was requesting the paperwork, if you will, from um, the Treasury Department. And Treasury Department had these suspicious activity reports for a while now, and they were sitting on it. Anyway, I find it interesting, guys, that this is the same bank that sort of went belly up. This bank is also connected, if you believe it or not, to Jeffrey Epstein. Right? So, a lot of suspicious shit and a lot of coincidental things going on. Now, one could say that Silicon Valley Bank was headed down this road financially anyway, but their connections and now that they're going through these problems, a little on the nose. But whatever. Uh, Copper Mutant. Listen, I don't think anything will come of it either, but interesting that they're having these problems, or this bank's having these problems now. Not all this shit's going down. Um, where was I? Okay, CBS News reported last year that there were more than 150 suspicious activity reports involving first son Hunter Biden and his first brother. Okay, James Biden. I didn't even know they referred to them like that, but okay. The committee's review of the document is likely to expose new details about the Biden family's international business ventures, which remain cloaked in secrecy amid the White House's refusal to answer even basic questions. Yeah. So, again, more bullshit about this administration. And it's amazing, guys, that this administration, or rather this presidency, or this president, has a lot of dirt. I mean, more dirt than the average politician, and yet they want to focus on Trump. Believe it or not, guys, there was an article. It was by a liberal news agency. I think it was Vox. I think it was them. They were stating whether or not you could blame Trump for what's going on with the financial crisis. They're trying to pull Trump into this. They said, can you blame President Trump or ex-President Trump, um, Silicon Valley Bank, or something else? And I'm like, they're really fucking blaming Trump for this shit. Anyway, with that, guys, Hunter Biden and James Biden pursued consulting work and investments in ranges of countries, during the 8 years while their powerful relatives was a vice president and afterwards, their father, and involved Joe Biden directly in many of those business relationships. Now, switching gears, in another murky Chinese venture, Hunter Biden co-founded BHR Partners, a state-backed investment fund in 2013 within weeks of joining his dad aboard Air Force Two on an official trip to Beijing, according to the Wall Street Journal. So now, again, guys, all of these things being reported and nothing's happening, and yet New York State wants to file criminal charges on Trump for some kind of fraud. You kidding me? You have the smoking gun, if you will, for the Biden family, and you want to bring criminal charges on Trump. So be it. So, although Hunter Biden famously earned up to $1 million per year to serve on the board of the Ukraine gas company, this is another suspicious venture, if you will. Gas company Burisma beginning in 2014, while his father led the Obama administration's Ukraine policy. His association with a pair of Russian billionaires, Yelena Batrina and Vladimir Yakovich, I fucked that one up, remains less clear. So clearly, guys, there are Russian oligarchs or Russian billionaires involved in the Ukraine gas company. And then the Hunter Biden family also tied in with the Chinese. What the fuck is going on here? All of these people are involved in what's going on right now. Now, Russia was not implicated in any of the articles I read involving this, but nonetheless, Russian politicians and Russian billionaires and millionaires have been connected to the Hunter Biden fiasco, if you will. Lastly, Hunter Biden wrote that he paid as much as half of his income to his father and is under federal investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware for possible tax fraud, illegal foreign lobbying, money laundering, and lying about his drug use on a gun purchase form. That last one seemed a little bit of a stretch. A tad bit of a stretch, but whatever. Yeah, Mike, man, we've been sold out. That's clearly the case. But to who? You know, like to the Chinese, to the Ukrainians, to the Russians, the Russian billionaires? Like to who? I'm more interested to see if we have, not we, but if Hunter Biden has more dealings in Russia. That's what I'm more curious to see. So that's the bit of information that's out there about the Hunter Biden family, and we're not hearing about it because we're all focused on what's going on with Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse, which Johnny 308 said just earlier that they're tanking. No shit, they're tanking. Again, Robert Kiyosaki, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Not Rich Daddy, Poor Daddy. The guy that wrote that book stated that they were the next bank to fail. And he is right. They'll probably by the end of this week, guys, they're going to tank. I think Friday is going to be the big kickoff. Because Friday is when this always goes down. Because then banks can claim to be closed on Saturday and Sunday. They actually operate at minimal capacities on Saturdays and in some cases Sundays. We had a bank here that opens on Sundays, TD Bank. They might close. Who knows? Why do people keep asking me am I Freemason? Is there a fucking Freemason thing I'm doing, like throwing up a hand sign or some shit? No, I'm not a fucking Freemason. People ask me it all the time. I'm like, why the fuck do they keep asking me that? Do I have a Freemason look about me? Anyway, let's go with something a little more hardcore. The Dow has fallen over 500 points. Right now, as we speak, the Dow is down over 600 points, guys. Sorry. When I wrote this half hour ago, it was down more than 500 points. The Dow is officially down 656 points. That's as of 12:10 p.m. New York time. So the Dow falls over 600 points as Credit Suisse adds pressure to already troubled banking sector. Stocks fell Wednesday as pressure on the financial sector increased, with shares of Credit Suisse, which is now down to 20%. So the shares dropped 20% as of this morning. Actually, pre-market, sorry. The Swiss bank has a large U.S. and global operations, tumbling more than 15%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell at the time 510 points or 1.6%. The Nasdaq Composite lost 1%, while the S&P 500 dropped 1.4%. Wednesday's decline brought the S&P 500 to a year-to-date gain down to less than a percentage point. In the recent days, the crisis in the financial sector has centered around regional banks as Silicon Bank and Signature Bank collapsed. Casualties. I had dirt on my screen. I had not my glasses. Anyway, casualties of poor management in the face of 8 interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve in the last 12 months. Keep in mind, guys, they might be raising the interest rate hikes might be going up again this week or next week, according to the Federal Reserve. Attention turns to the big banks on Wednesday, with shares of Credit Suisse hitting an all-time low. So, listen, guys, it's easy to say at this point. It's going to be a shit show. It's going to be nothing short of a fucking shit show for the next week or two. A lot of things are going to change rapidly for a lot of people in the next week or two. Some people might be losing their jobs. I know that Facebook, for example, just announced they're letting go, I think, 10,000 more people or 11,000 more people. I couldn't ascertain the exact number. Nonetheless, they're letting go over 10,000 more people from their They announced that yesterday or the day before. Let's go. Okay, so Saudi National Bank, Credit Suisse largest investor, said today, that it could not provide any more funding, according to Reuters report. This comes after Swiss lenders said early this week it had found certain material weaknesses in our internal control over financial reporting. This was for the year of 2021 and 2022. Now, apparently, Switzerland is going to have to help bail them out now that the Saudi National Bank states they can. Now, keep in mind, guys, Saudi National Bank, they are bigwigs. They roll heavy. They're in like the $1 trillion. They can easily bail this bank out, or at the very least, meet them halfway. The fact that they announced that Wednesday is a giant red flag for Credit Suisse, or Saudi National Bank knows what's going on behind the scenes, and they're not willing to dump any more money into Credit Suisse. There's also that. You've got, so I'm not sure who said this. CEO of Galaxy Digital, Mike Nersagat, said you're going to see credit crunch happening in the United States, and that's starting to get priced into the market in a dramatic way. So, needless to say, guys, if you had a loan, if you were looking to get a loan, that's not going to happen, right? A lot of loans, if I'm not mistaken, are being suspended by those banks that collapse, obviously, for the obvious reasons. I think a lot of loans that if you were looking to take a loan out this week, your bank might be a little more skeptical in lending you that money, especially in lieu of what's going on. We're watching a catastrophe happen, but again, guys, we saw this coming. We saw this coming in a big way. And we listened to a lot of financial advisors, and here we are, right? So those two, I guess, miserable reports, if you will, this is where we are. We are watching the market tank even more. Now, interestingly enough, the stock market dropped a second ago to 687. Now it's back up to 657. So we shall see what this is going to do. But again, guys, a 500-point drop out of the gates when they opened up, that is pretty bad. Now it's approaching 650, 657. It's holding at 657 rather. You know what? I don't think it actually. Sorry, my fault. It didn't hit 687. It was holding at 657. My fault. Nonetheless, it could only get worse from here. It's not going to get better. I don't see this getting any better anytime soon. But the market will probably go back up a little bit. But then that's it. So now let's start with what I was initially supposed to start out with. U.S. drone, Russian fighter collide over the Black Sea. Now both parties are blaming one another. I find it interesting though that the Russian fighter jets were not in their airspace. They were near their airspace. And the drone, U.S. drone, was near Russian airspace. So near, I don't know what near is. They didn't give us a nautical mileage of what near was. But I find it suspicious that the Russians continue to gain more air control or airspace, if you will, just by stating you're too close to our airspace. And so they move the line every week. They're moving their airspace line. So according to the Russians, the MQ-9 Reaper was brought down in international waters after its propeller was struck by one of the two Russian Su-27 aircrafts that were conducting an unsafe and unprofessional interception. Now, it was near the airspace, not in their airspace. Near the airspace means that they can come close to it, they can look at it and go, okay, we got a fucking MQ-9 Reaper in our vicinity. But the Americans are not saying, but do think that this was done intentionally. And I can see that. Listen, if I was an asshole pilot and I saw a Russian fucking drone near our airspace, I would absolutely clip its wings, and be like, oh my God, look what happened, But that's me. U.S. European Command, EUCOM, sounds like a disease, said that in a statement that they were being unprofessional and unsafe. It is believed to be the first time since the height of the Cold War that American aircraft crashed as a result of an encounter with a Russian warplane. Several times before the collision, the Su-27 dumped fuel on and flew in front of the MQ-9 in a reckless manner. Environmentally unsound and unprofessional manner. So apparently, the Russian fighter jets were fucking with the MQ-9 Reaper. Listen, guys, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Americans are innocent, but the Russians have been toting this line with us for a long time. They have done this with the Alaskan border, or airspace, if you will. They've done this with our naval ships. There was a video, I know a lot of you saw a few years back, where the Russians were taunting the U.S. Navy. Now, the U.S. Navy should have let them have it, but they didn't. They were being bitches about it. And the Russians always do this. They do this every chance they get. So this isn't anything new. This is not outside of the norm for the Russians. The Russians always act like fucking assholes when they can. I think it's time for Americans to start acting like assholes with them, if you ask me. Yes, it will elevate it to a war, but so be it. The Russians are showing that they can bully the Americans with no repercussions. Anyway, defense officials declined to say what they believe was Moscow's intent with this maneuver. Fuel dumping is much more commonly used to allow pilots to lighten jet fuel load for safety reasons before landing, which sounds like bullshit to me. Absolute bullshit, but whatever. The collision took place just after 7 a.m. local time and follows a pattern of dangerous actions by Russian pilots while interacting with U.S. and or allied aircraft over international airspace. The Russians did do this a couple of weeks ago with somebody else's jets. They were telling them to stay away from their airspace. Keep in mind, the aircraft that they were approaching was something like 200 miles away from their airspace, or 150 miles away from their airspace. So again, the Russians are trying to expand their airspace unofficially. So be it. So someone just said, we can't win, so no war. Well, listen, definitely, P. We're headed to somebody's war. Whether we can win or not is irrelevant. Um, we couldn't win. We knew we couldn't win Vietnam, and yet we went ahead with that war, right? And that war, from military tacticians, were saying that it would be impossible to win that war because of the jungle. That just wasn't our forte. We were not ready for that kind of war, and yet we went to war anyway, and we lost that war big time. I know in certain books, till this day, still printed, we won that war. I don't know how, but anybody with two sets of fucking eyes can tell you we didn't win that war. Like, not at all. Not even a little bit. You know? We won some battles, maybe. We didn't win that war. We can't win. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, well, and yeah, listen, I don't know. I know that people keep saying war is big business, but I don't know how this is going to elevate our economy. I really don't. And it doesn't serve us. This war with Russia and or China will not serve us in that way. We have to pick a war with a smaller country that we know we can beat, and then maybe, just maybe, it'll boost the economy. But war with these two giants, I don't see it happening. We're not supposed to win. We're not supposed to win. I know what you meant. You meant win. Anyway, guys, with that, either the U.S. or the Russian have recovered the drone as of Tuesday afternoon. Ryder would not say whether any attempt to recover would take place. Clearly, they're going to recover it, especially that it landed in international waters, guys. It's a fucking MQ-9 Reaper. It's a drone. They want their drone back. Now, if it landed, obviously, in the deepest parts of the Black Sea, they're probably not going to go after it. They're not going to risk too many lives, or they're not going to risk it if they don't have to. But if they can retrieve it within a certain depth, they will go after it. So, Russians, again, demand U.S. keep aircraft away from their airspace. Moscow warned the United States on Wednesday to keep aircraft away from Russians' claimed airspace as two nations trade blame over the downing of an American surveillance drone above the Black Sea. Anatoly Anatova, Russian ambassador to Washington, claims the U.S. drone had deliberately and provocatively approached Moscow's airspace, forcing Russians to react, which is, again, bullshit. It wouldn't have gotten that close, not to Moscow. But anyway, the incident is believed to be the first time since the Cold War that two nations collided over or had an encounter like this. Sorry. So National Security spokesman James Kirby said the U.S. has done nothing wrong. I don't know. Listen, the drone could have been in their airspace and left the airspace. It could have done that, and they're not saying that to us. The drone could have very well been in Russian airspace and then got out of there before they got caught in the airspace, because they were also saying something about the transponder to the drone was off at the time. Could be, guys. But again, anything the Russians say, I take with a grain of fucking salt. I really don't. I really do. I don't trust anything they have to say because it's the Russians, man. But I also don't believe a lot what the United States government says, especially this administration, because this administration lies about everything. Everything. And if they don't lie about it, they just don't talk about it. Not that they'll deny it. They'll just like, so what about Hunter Biden and your son being involved in the Ukrainian deal? Biden will look at the camera and go, and so how about that weather? So, I mean, like, you can't believe either party, and this is where we're at. Both of these parties could be lying about this whole incident right now. This incident could be something else entirely different. And it could have been a fighter jet for all we know. But they're telling us it's a drone. So I don't know, guys. You got to take what they say with a grain of salt. Both sides, both sides, the Russian and the Americans. Okay, so let's see. Regional banks trading Wednesday. All right, so back to the regional bank stocks plunge. Again, Credit Suisse, guys, regional bank stocks plunge and pre-market trading Wednesday morning. Trouble at Swiss giants. Credit Suisse fueled a major sell-off in U.S. market yesterday, or pre-market, sorry. The latest turmoil emerged after credit rating agencies Moody's cut its outlook for the banking system due to rapid deterioration in the operating environment. So I never heard of Moody's before. I don't even know what the fuck Moody's is. I know that when I'm Moody, I know what that is. I don't know what the fuck Moody's is. But apparently Moody's is a credit rating agency, right? So following the failure of Silicon Bank and other firms, Moody's placed 6 regional banks on downgrade watch. First Republic, Zion Bancorp, Comerica, Comerica, Intrust Financial, UBM Financial, and Western Alliance. Now, guys, pay close attention to the banks that were downgraded. First Republic, which I was reading about yesterday, was having some financial issues. Zion Bancorp, and if I'm not mistaken, Western Alliance. These banks, guys, were connected to, what's his name? Epstein as well. Those 3 banks I remember reading from Epstein. Now, hold on. I got to be more prepared, but whatever. This is what my buddy sent me. I'm not going to show you on the screen, but 6 more banks at the end of the article, leaving one of 10 unnamed. Those are Fidelity Investments, Charles Schwab, Bank Leumi, Wells Fargo, which has been having trouble, Northern Trust, and Silicon Bank. These banks are the banks that have been connected to the Epstein, or connected to Epstein. The banks I just announced as well. First Republic, Zion Bancorp, and Western Alliance have also been tagged in that. Johnny 308, yes. So I have the stock market opened on my phone here, like I'm a banker. We are approaching 700, guys. 700 points down. Right now it's at 690.54. Again, it'll probably hit. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 7, if not 800 points by the end of the day. Right, the market closes at what time? 3:30, some shit like that, right? Or 4 o'clock. So and that's the thing, guys. Once it becomes a runaway train, you can't stop it. Unfortunately, they have to let it hit rock bottom before they can do any corrections. They're going to make all these announcements in the next hour or two about what they're going to do, and none of it's going to help. It's got to be it's a runaway train. You just got to let it fucking crash at this point. Let's see. Shares of San Francisco-based First Public hovered in the negative territory and were down more than 5% in pre-market trading as of 9 a.m. today. Zion Bancorp, Comerica plunged more than 9% this morning. Western Alliance was down 7%. UBM Financial was down 5%. KeyCorp was down 3%. KeyCorp was in there as well. Research analysis at Exane said most likely scenario to resolve issue at Credit Suisse is that a bailout needs to be made by Swiss National Bank. Its financial regulator, FINMA, is also a financial regulator in Switzerland that needs to help out with the bailout for Credit Suisse. Now, again, Saudi National Bank is not helping out, so Swiss National Bank and their regulator have to fucking do something about this. Consolidating the smaller banks. Well, listen, guys, I don't know about consolidating smaller banks. Crow, they say credit unions are safe. They said credit unions are not, or normally not touched by this. I have a credit union, so I'm probably going to move all my money over to that real soon. I am not Joe Johnston. I'm not a fan of gold or silver, though people are saying you should buy silver. I do have a couple of silver pieces, but 100 ounces last week. Listen, with credit unions, I've never had a problem with them. Never had a problem with them. Big banks, I've had problems with them. Chase, Capital One, Washington Mutual, right, when they were around. But I've never had a problem with fucking credit unions. Costs more money to buy silver and gold. Yes, it does cost more money to buy silver and gold, especially at this point. But yeah, guys, listen, it's so now it touched 690, and now it went back up or down. It went back down to 634. So I could see this topping out, like I said, around 700 or so. Silver is safer than gold. And James Vital, I have not heard anything about Bank of America. Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie. Bank of America fell. Their shares fell around 5.5. I'm sorry, I did hear about that. And 2.5 respectively. I don't know what the 2.5 is, but their main fell around 5.5. Goldman Sachs fell 5.5. Bank of America fell 2.5. Excuse me. Citigroup and Wells Fargo fell around 6 and 5% respectively. So all of these banks their shares are dropping, not as badly as other banks, but it's still falling. Listen, I don't want to be I would love to be the fly on the wall down at fucking Wall Street right now. I'd love to be the fly on that wall to see the pandemonium ensuing, to see these motherfuckers losing their shit right now. Because they gotta be. They gotta be losing their shit as we speak. Let's see. Enough doom and gloom, and we are. JD, digital currency is being pushed. I mean, if you listen to certain YouTubers, I think Prepping by Faith, she's been talking about it a lot. Autumn Backyards Garden, she's been talking about it a lot. You check those two channels, they're still pushing it. This will be the catalyst as well to push digital currency. Well, you want to keep your money safe? You don't want it to be affected by the market? Put your money into digital currency. Right? Oh, you don't want your identity to be stolen anymore? This is a better way to make sure your identity is not stolen by switching over to digital currency. Jim Lang said PNC, which is another bank, for those of you that don't know, is going down soon, in his opinion. Thank you, Tommy Slaughter, for that. Tommy Slaughter says that credit unions are run by membership instead of own as an entity, right? It's a profit bank versus a non-for-profit bank. Profit banks are for-profit are banks, and non-for-profits are credit unions. That's why I've never had a problem with them. Jason Smith said, Canadian Prepper says it's all over. Every day it's all over. I mean, it really is. You know, it's whatever. But the market seems to be, I don't want to say rebounding because I'd probably jinx it if I say that, but it seems to be going back up in the opposite direction. The problem is, guys, is that you can only make so many promises before people look at it and go, you know what? I'm going to take my chances, pull my money out, put it somewhere else. Wherever the hell are you going to put it? I wouldn't know where to begin with putting your money other than the credit union. That's like my only advice. Pinball had advice earlier today. You can go on his last video he did earlier today, and he talked about where you can put it. He did talk about buying silver. He did talk about putting it in safe accounts, but I forgot what he said as far as what accounts were safe. As far as We're All Gonna Die Wednesday, guys, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival has his We're All Gonna Die Wednesday night shows. So I think it starts at 7, I think. So tune into that. So, guys, on a lighter note, but not such a light note, a father, some of you might have seen this video. A father told his kid he couldn't play games anymore on his phone or his device, whatever it was, and the kid went after his father with a meat cleaver. We're All Gonna Die Wednesdays is at 7:30 tonight, guys. 7:30 tonight. So, imagine Telling your kid, hey, you can't use your device anymore. You can't. We're gonna have to cut down your time. And your fucking kid brings out a meat cleaver and starts fucking like this. Yo, my fucking son would have got such the backhand. It would have been funny. It would have been a windmill backhand. It would have been like back, back. You know, it would have been like two at the same time. Like, you fucking kidding me? You're gonna bring out a fucking, because I told you you got to cut down time on your fucking phone, and you come after me with a meat cleaver. Adam Clay, forget about a fucking spanking. We're talking about a beating. You know, like nothing short of fucking Kunta Kinte beating my son would have gotten if he would have brought out a fucking meat cleaver because I told him we gotta cut your time down. Not that he couldn't play it at all, but you gotta cut it down. They should let kids be happy. The fuck out of here, let kids be happy. I tell my kids, yo, put your phone down. They put their phones down. They don't go, why, how come? They don't talk back to us in that manner. Because I've already threatened them. I'm like, yo, you talk back to me, your phone's going in the Hudson River. Simple. I don't fucking play that bullshit. I don't compromise and all this other. And they're teenagers now. And I still don't compromise with them. I tell you, put the fucking phone down, you put it down. It's not a why, how come, well, you're doing it too. As soon as they go, before they can finish why, their phones are in the Hudson River. Their phones will be sleeping with the fish, right? So, I mean, listen, and that's on a lighter scale. You have a meat cleaver and forget it, dude. It's over. Talking about it, holy shit. You'll be wishing you were in the fucking movie Roots by the time I was done with you. Fucking, and then every morning you wake up, you want a fresh one, you know? Like, yo, and the father was like, I was just like, what the fuck's he doing? Grab it. You know, the fucking father was flinching and shit. I'm like, grab the fucking thing. And then the father grabbed it and did like a fucking hopsaki move on him. But I was just like, why the fuck is the father in the corner flinching? It was the craziest thing I've ever done. Fly over state. Yes, you do not negotiate with terrorists. And believe it or not, guys, your kids become terrorists at a certain point. Your kids become a terrorist from the moment they start walking to their adults. That's the age range of terrorism for kids. From the minute they start walking to their adults. And then at some point they calm the fuck down. But, you know, like, listen, even with my older son, he's 24 years old. We're sitting at the dinner table. I'm telling him, put your phone away. He puts it away. He doesn't argue with me. He doesn't look at me. He just goes, okay, and he puts it back in his pocket. Hell, even at the firehouse, when I was a fireman a long time ago, guys would pull out their phones. I'm like, yo, put that shit away. Not at the table. Guys will put it away. And it's not even about like parenting. It's just about respect, you know, more than it is anything else, you know. But that's what it comes down to, man. It just comes down to fucking like respect more than anything. But let's see, what else did I want to talk about? And then, you know, this is not like a lighter note, but okay, two things we could talk about before we go off. The Pentagon officials suggest alien motherships in our solar system are sending mini probes to Earth and mini probes to probe other planets and other solar systems. I don't know where the fuck this Pentagon official came up with this idea, but they drafted a document last week stating that aliens could be visiting our solar system and releasing smaller probes like missions conducted by NASA when studying other planets. The draft research reports, authored by Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. What the fuck? All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and Abraham Leib, chairman of Harvard University's Astronomy Department, released on March 7 and focused on physical constraints of unidentified aerial phenomenons. We're not calling them UFOs anymore. Anyway, an artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that released many small probes during its close passage to Earth. An operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA's mission, the report reads. This dandelion seeds could be spread from the parent craft by a tidal gravitational force of the sun or by maneuvering capabilities. Okay. All right. I don't know why. I'm like, and listen, guys, like, this is an article, again, that's buried underneath all the bullshit that's going on. So I found it interesting that I was able to find it. But the fact that they're sitting here and they have an office called the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, they gave a bunch of nerds another position in NASA. Like, seriously? Anyway, and actually it's in the Pentagon. It's not even in NASA, it's in the Pentagon. Right? So the AARO was established in July of last year, 2022, and is responsible for tracking objects in the sky, underwater, and in space. Underwater and in space. Okay? Or possibly an object that has the ability to move from one domain to the next. They meant to say dimensions, not domains. I think they're also for whatever. Whatever. I can't even believe I read that out loud. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is cool to talk about. Now I'm like, I feel so much more stupider for reading it out loud. All right, on a less weird note, New York City school safety officers plummet 25% as violence increase and shootings increase. So there was a shooting the other day at Martin Luther King High School or next to it. Now, right across the street from Martin Luther King High School, guys, is a firehouse. Right across the street. They deal with these kids' bullshit all the time, but this is the first shooting in a long while. So, a number of New York City school staff agents have plummeted nearly 25% from pre-pandemic level. All while violence at near school buildings is exploding, according to a report Tuesday. As of last month, there were 3,900 active NYPD safety agents, nearly 1,200 or 24% fewer than February of 2020, just before the onset of the COVID pandemic. The IOB's report came as two teenage boys were shot and injured within 3 hours of each other near respective high schools on the upper Manhattan. One was Martin Luther King High School. I don't know where the other one was. Three students have been slain so far in 2022 and the 2023 school year. At least 20 have either been stabbed or shot. Now, that there was a girl who was shot, and the kid that was shot, I think it was 2 months ago, he was just fucking walking by and minding his business. Had nothing to do with that shooting. Bullet caught him in the face, I think it was, and killed him. And I think there was a girl that was shot involved in there somewhere, and she died as well. We warned the city 2 years ago that only more school safety agents can protect our city and our schools. The problem is, guys, nobody wants to be a fucking school safety officer. Nobody. Being a school safety officer is about the equivalent of being a retard at Walmart. Sorry to put it that way. And nobody wants to be that. Right? Being a cop and being like, yo, stop right there. And people, some cases, stop. Being a school safety agent, stop right there. Fuck off. And then they leave. It's nobody wants that, man. You really don't want it. It's legitimately the welcome committee at Walmart when you're a fucking school safety officer, right? If there's some school safety officers watching it, I do apologize, but yes, your job is shit. It really is. It's a bad job. It's a fucking thankless job that no one else likes or wants, you know? But whatever, somebody's got to do it, right? So, the job or the force used to be 5,500 strong in 2019. Now they are only 4,000 on a good day. Now, school safety officers, guys, they are civilians. They're not cops. I know some of them think they're cops. You see them walking around with their bulletproof vests and the fucking the cop douchebag glasses or the military douchebag glasses. You know, those fucking Oakleys or whatever they wear. They're like, look at me, I'm fucking so cool. Yeah, with their tactical shit on, and they're fucking civilians. They're not even cops. They're not law enforcement, though some of them will tell you they are. They were like, I'm in the law enforcement. Oh, what do you do? I'm a school safety agent. No, the fuck you're not. You're the fucking greeter at Walmart, dude. That's what you are. You're not a cop. You're not a fucking badass. You're none of that shit. You're just a guy that gets picked on by kids. Kids pick on these guys. Whatever. But anyway, School safety is going back up. Now, I think a few years back they took out metal detectors from school. Guess what they're going to have to fucking do again? Put back those metal detectors in the school. They took out metal detectors because we don't want to treat our inner city kids like animals. We want them to come to a place that's loving and protected, and we don't need that anymore because we don't want to treat our kids in this way. Well, guess what? You're going to have to treat these fucking savages like fucking savages. Sorry. If kids are walking into school with guns, what is the right thing to do? The right thing to do is put back metal detector and frisk these motherfuckers before they go into school. Clear backpacks do not work, by the way. I know that it's a falsehood, because you can take a gun, guys, and put it right in between the books, and they will not see them. You can put garbage in your bag, and the officer's going to look at the bag and go, okay, I don't see anything on the surface. But you can sandwich a firearm and a knife between books. It's been done, right? So, again, the clear bag thing is not really a thing. When you go to, like, concerts, a lot of concerts now, they want you to have a clear bag. Fuck you, dude. You don't need to see what's in my fucking bag. First of all, you don't need a backpack when you go to a concert. Clearly, you don't. But the fact that they're whittling down our privacy under the guise of safety, which is bullshit. I don't believe in the fucking plastic backpacks at all. I don't. I think they're bullshit. I think they're full of, they're garbage. Metal detectors and fucking and not strip search. Sorry, pat downs are what you're gonna need. That's unfortunate that you got to bring that back. But this is what happens when you give people an inch. They take 5,000 fucking miles, right? So anyway, guys, that was that. I didn't want this to be that long. Normally these are like a half hour, but do apologize for running over. Anyway, guys, yeah, see you guys tomorrow night on the Angry Prepper and the Angry Truth channel. I have no clue what I'm going to talk about because so many things are happening rapidly that, it'll be a crapshoot tomorrow what I talk about tomorrow night on the Angry Prepper and or the Angry Truth channel. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for dealing with my bullshit. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the follow. And I will see you guys tomorrow night on the Angry Prepper channel. I think I'm supposed to be on somebody else's channel tomorrow, too. Hold on. Let me square that away. Okay. I'm supposed to be on a Roaming Prepper tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, I'm on for myself. So I'll be on 3 live streams tomorrow. A Roaming Prepper, and I think Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival will also be on the Roaming Preppers live stream tomorrow night at 7 o'clock our time. All right, guys? So other than that, thank you.